Hello, we're glad to be here, and we're glad that you joined us and are taking your time to take this video in, and both of us and what we have to offer. I'm Jelelle.
And I'm Raphael.
And we are co-creators and facilitators of what we call the SoulFullHeart way of life.
And we're glad you found us, possibly on Facebook or through our blog, and we feel a heart connection with you and with where your life is moving and where our lives have moved through in our relationship, in our geographical changes, in our relationship changes. So many deep changes in our lives.
Yes, many, many.
That we felt guided to move through so many different things. Emotional congestion,
soul wounding, past life.
Soul
wounding, soul legacy.
Family conditioning. The small picture that we have of ourselves and that we live our life out of has just over the last 10 years of living in this way of life has just continued to open out something new and ever-growing vistas of ourself, of the divine, and of others, a magical essence of our being. And we live that every day, and we write that every day, and we also wrestle with it.
Yeah, at times.
It's a wrestling, too.
And it sort of deepens over time as well, and it's the other thing I want to mention is that it's an experiential process, which is why we've been putting a lot of writing out. We've been putting a lot of cards. I love creating these cards with images and words that kind of go in subconsciously and they go right into the heart, hopefully. But we wanted to share our energy. That's why we wanted to do this video. And the more that you could experience this energy that we call SoulFullHeart, an energy that I feel lives in those that are resonant. Maybe it lives in all of us, I don't know. But it's really the blending of our hearts and our souls, that there is no separation there, that we can't, as psychology and a lot of spirituality have separated the two.
I know in my life, looking back, there's always been, from reaching adulthood, a desire to really learn, to grow, to experience. I always knew there was something more. And I always reached for that something more. But it's particularly been the last 10 years, not to make anything bad or negative or wrong about the previous years, but these years of a new consciousness around what is the self, how does our higher self interplay with our lives and with our emotionality, with our spirituality.
Bringing the higher self frequencies into practical daily life and into relationships. If we're so excited we want to talk over each other, but I just want to say that that's a real cornerstone of our work is relationship, and that's relationship with self, relationship with others, and relationship with what we call the divine. It's non-dual, dual, it, he, she.
As I'm feeling this, I'm feeling a bit of a shyness in myself, and I think the reason is that there's been, I mentioned these vistas of growth and learning and unfolding that have been so magical, but they've also been quite private. I didn't have a frame of reference for the depth that emerged in my experience of myself, or with you, or with some very key, heart-open others. That was just stunning to me in what I experienced, with tears, with heart, with presence, with self-love. And at times I would write about it, and as a way to express it, to project it out there, to share it. But it's been a tender road to be on a cutting edge of something so different that it's hard to find the resonant voice that speaks the same thing, like you're speaking my language. And so I feel the tenderness of sharing with the world more directly.
And it's such a vulnerable path. It's based in vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can't shroud ourselves with anything. We're sort of just here vulnerable, and I think it's taken us the time it's taken to work with our parts, or subpersonalities as we call them, to negotiate that, okay, it's okay to be in leadership with vulnerability, and our bigness, both, to risk to lead. We've been pretty unseen
without this
until recently. We've been more seen, and I think that's because of the negotiation that we've done inside. You with the part of you that's shy, or that is protective of you, and me as well.
The option of having this power self around us, like we have the answer for you, and here's how it works, and
we have the absolute truth.
Yeah, and this is it.
Yeah.
That energy just dissipates with vulnerability and just doesn't work. It doesn't flow. We have something that we're claiming is deep and heartfelt and profound, but you can only see it and verify it through your own self-validating intuition. It only resonates and speaks your truth if it is your truth. And this age of pressing one's truth and conforming people into some cookie cutter is just, it's a different vulnerability to simply be what we are and offer from that ground.
Yeah. And
that's the ground we want to experience in the flow of what are you really feeling, what's really going on in your life. Do you see something in us as a resource, as something you would claim as your path, as what you feel the universe leading you to and calling you to?
In your sovereignty. And I just wanted to add that we play around with different ways of offering this. And so we do sessions as our primary way of offering this work and this process of this union. It's both a union process and an individuation process. It's almost a paradox, but both happen. We've offered that through sessions, and we still do. But we also wanted to try out and play with this virtual group on Facebook and see what could translate and move, because we're all energy, we're all made up of energy anyway, so we don't need to be in person in the same way. So that's our big experiment right now. We'd love to have you join us if you're not there already.
Yeah, the name of the group is SoulFullHeart Circle, and you'll find out all about it on our personal Facebook pages as well. But it's a private circle where the desire is openness, vulnerability, that kind of an energy exchange. It's not about posting a bunch of promotional ideas. It's about what you're feeling, what you're experiencing. What's it like to be inside your skin?
I think so often we have been on Facebook only for a few months. So I still feel like such a beginner with it, but I do notice that there's love exchange happening often on it. But in terms of intimacy, how much intimacy is happening? And so we wanted to create a private space to see what could happen around that. Not to presume that it can't happen, but to see what could happen.
So really, we're just wanting to invite you into this experiment. It's brand new, it's an intention, it's carefully led and held and monitored and felt. It's very private. I particularly want to invite the men into their vulnerability and sharing. The women still tend to lead that, as they tend to in most things spiritual or emotional.
We have to wrap up.
We want to keep this under 10 minutes.
We're going to do a series of these videos about different topics.
Yeah.
So thank you for taking us in today.
More to come.
Yes.
Love to you.
Love to you.